how do you recycle it? Because else you have to bring it out of the city and you come back with freshly dug sand from the mountain next to you. You see, of course, that the world or the NGO world is not standing still with these questions. They have different practices, and when Henk and I were thinking about these problems, and you see the most successful solutions in our mind, that's what we adopt, that's what we take and try to bring in our areas, is something that is very much from the people. This mobile crusher we bought, a program that is already running by CRS, also a Caritas partner. And what it does, it buys this crusher, it crushes debris before you select it to sand and different course of sand. What they do is they just sell this, so they give this machine to an entrepreneur in the community. This entrepreneur gets together a little bit a team of 5 persons who feed the machine, who bag it, and CRS or Cordet in this instance buys these materials from this entrepreneur for 20% less. That is the agreement. The Cordet always buys this material until the entrepreneur is owner of this machine. So per cube it costs maybe per cube he earns maybe $17 USD, and $5 of it just comes into like a small notebook, and he becomes owner of such a machine. And in this way, it's very low tech, and yeah, it really comes from the people. Beautiful solution, but is it effective enough? Is the next question.
Well, that's interesting also to mention that actually this is a joint venture started up with the national private business people foundation of a bank and the biggest importer of machinery in the country. They did it already before the earthquake. They started up to try to improve the building industry nationally, and we kind of, or CRS hopped into it, and we then jointly worked out. So it's not only well, I've seen too much of intermediate technologies which are more hobbies of academics. Yes. This actually came from there and not from a theory book.
Yeah, and also what you see in these pictures of these areas, you can invest in a shelter, but then the next question is it safe to build here? Because yeah, it will just mean that you make an investment in land that is informal. It's like so many questions. Definitely a question if you say, okay, I just have this strategy and I just want to build a shelter, but then at least you have to think of that you not at the first rain your shelter gets washed away by a tree that falls down. So land improvement, stabilization and intervention was one of the first things when we really started thinking of how can we implement these urban areas, how can we deal with that, and now a pilot project now starting up, hopefully because I'm not here, is then also a very community-driven approach, because it's the people who want to work or want to live again in their areas. It's an approach where we try to keep the materials into the community. It's only based on supporting people with knowledge, so the people will, all the labor they will do themselves. And it's also a strategy that so brings a very low-tech solution. For example, one of the solutions now being tested is that Cordet buys sandbags filled with sand and cement and aggregate made from rubble, and so it becomes like a brick. And Cordet buys these materials from the community, so this money stays into the community. The community prepares like they make like a cut in the mountain. Cordet buys them for them, like the gabions, and they fill it again with these bags that Cordet, which they itself produce, but it's just a way of thinking where you don't come in with big machines, because it's, yeah, the reality is that it's just too difficult also. So maybe by giving like these concept solutions, very low text that you just can adopt. Yeah, I think that's it. So maybe as a final note, I want to say that so Corday took on responsibility of like two, yeah, they're like little 4 areas, but they're like clustered of really this kind of ground. And it's like, I think that Corday just maybe didn't realize well enough what kind of, yeah, if you want to do something in such an area, what kind of responsibility you take on. Because it's the same what Jim also says. It's just really the unknown. It's like in informal settlement, it's very difficult to invest. It's also very difficult to target with it. If you only want to build shelter, it's just not possible, because you need to do groundwork before that. And really, the key questions of Corday, and I think also for this studio, must be, you know, how can you build in these kind of areas? Is it really by supporting what the people are already doing, or is it? Yeah, I think it's a very difficult but a very interesting and challenging question, because it is not only in Port-au-Prince where this will happen, but also all over the world. So yeah. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to give Henk just a few minutes just to add on a little bit to this, but I think that you've already started to. Oh, and I see that.
Can I add on
also
one thing on that picture?
Because some good add-ons, which will also instigate a discussion. So I hope you guys have been collecting some questions, because I'm going to basically put our 3 gentlemen in the front here, and we can have about 20 minutes to have a discussion on some of these preliminary reflections or queries.